for some of us who are still looking forward to coming into the poultry business, we are going to be giving you tips. We are going to be sharing valuables as regards poultry farming on this particular channel. So it is important that you pay attention, especially if you're still a newbie or you're somebody who has passion for this particular business. Now, the main thing I want to tell you, poultry business is not just about passion. It is not about passion. If the only thing you have is passion and probably money, and you want to go into the poultry business just like that, then I don't know, it's sad, but I have to tell you the truth. You might just come back bearing a lot of tears and regrets at the end of the day. So it is important that you follow us, subscribe to this channel. It is very important so that we become partners in progress as we help you grow your dream of wanting to be a poultry farmer and wanting to grow a profitable poultry venture. Now, first things first, if you're considering going into the poultry business, there are a lot of things you must put into consideration. I told us before now, somebody came to me and he was like, that he likes this business and he wants to go into poultry business. I told him, okay, the first thing now is not even about the money. I cannot be asking you whether or not you have the money to go into it. Do you have the knowledge that is required in order to scale in this particular venture? Poultry business is not something you just come in without knowledge and you feel you can learn on the job. Yeah, if you want to learn on the job, right, so it's quite germane, it's valid, because you're going to also learn the hard way. So you're going to pay dearly to learn on the job. So it is important you also go source for knowledge, have a practical experience of how this thing really works. Then you're going to do well. And it's also important that you start very small. We started with 50 broiler chicks in 2020. Yeah, and we grew it to what it is today. So it is very important that you have that mindset that you really want to start small. You're permitted to start small, but you're not permitted to remain small. All right? So when you start small, it gives you an edge, especially when you have undergone a training, probably under somebody, read materials that is in line with that particular venture and all that. Then when you now start small, it gives you that leverage to learn the behavioral pattern of these birds, to make you understand how it really works. Now in poultry, you cannot finish learning. There's no expert in poultry. If somebody tells you he's an expert, then it's a scam. You learn as the journey goes by. These birds are just like women. You cannot finish learning them. All right? So they bring different strategies, different, you have to adapt, learn, ask questions, relearn, unlearn. A lot of persons have made a lot of mistakes from day one. And I'm going to, like I told you, I'll take you to the brooder now so that you see how our brooder is and most mistakes that farmers, newbies make that makes them go out of line. I told us that you cannot run a business with common sense, and this is one of it. All right? Most persons assume that, is it not poultry? Is it not poultry? Is it not chicken? Is it not to just carry this and no? There are procedures to this thing, and you must ensure that you follow those procedures in order to scale. There are principles to it, and you must follow it. If you do not put in biosecurity measures in your farm, there is no way you can succeed. So you must ensure that you understand what you're going into before you go into that place. Don't go with the basis of assumption. Poultry business is not for the proud person. Somebody who doesn't want to learn, somebody who doesn't believe he doesn't know all and he can ask questions, or he could ask questions anyway. Poultry business is not for the lazy person. You must be a workaholic. You must be somebody who is ready to work round the clock. Poultry business is not for somebody who feels he has arrived. No. It's not for... No. You cannot invest millions into a particular business and you go and sit down and relax. It's not done. You must be somebody who is willing to learn, somebody who is willing to ask questions, somebody who is willing to go all out, somebody who is willing to sacrifice pleasure in the place of work in order to make sure that the result is achieved at the end of the day. All right, so let me take you to our brooder so that you see how we've prepared it. Now, I told us yesterday that our birds were coming back. We were really expecting, but the hatchery called and they said that they moved the delivery date to Friday. So this week, Friday, we are expecting them. So it gives us enough time to also prepare ourselves in order to expect. You cannot prepare enough, but we can do the most we can in order to make sure that we have the proper biosecurity measures, we make sure that we have the proper feed in the farm, make sure we have the proper lighting system, heating system to ensure that these birds, when they come back, they are fully ready to eat and grow and get mature and give us the results we want at the end of the day. It is very important that you know this. This is one of the mistakes that newbies in poultry farming make, and it becomes very, 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 very unhealthy for the birds. So when you bring in your birds, you're supposed to use brooder papers. Now, these brooder papers help them differentiate between feed and the potential sawdust that you're going to use at the end of the day. You cannot just bring them in and you expose them to all sorts of things. Now, most of the time, most people even make the mistake of using the chaff that comes from rice from day one, and before you know it, they start feeding on that chaff, and it start causing cough for them. Before you know it, you start losing birth. Before you know it, they start dying unnecessarily. It's not as though disease has entered the farm, but it is your own deliberate mistake that have cost you those birds. And no chick deserves to die. No chick deserves to die. You have to acquire the relevant knowledge, understand the behavioral pattern of these little babies before bringing them into the farm. All right, so the brooder has been prepared, and you must also make sure that the brooder is warm enough, because at that age they cannot produce heat for themselves. Okay, you cannot expose them to cold and you expect them to grow, or you expect them to feed well. No. So you must make sure that the brooder is warm enough so that they can be comfortable, so that they can be, evenly distributed, and at that point they are also happy and excited to eat and grow, and it gives you the expected result you want at the end of the day. So don't treat your farm with assumptions. When you assume too much, it becomes a problem. Don't say, let's assume this happens, or let's assume the other one happened. No. There are processes to this thing. The system is set. The principles are the same. If you make the mistake of trying to assume, or trying to boycott, or trying to go the other way around, you lose your birds. You give them the right treatment, they give you the right treatment in turn. It is sukasa mikasa. The way you treat them, that's the way they will treat you, either by producing eggs or by eating in order to gain weight for broilers and the rest of them. So you must ensure that you give those birds the proper treatment they deserve in order to scale. All right? So, and you also must understand that they need space. You don't have to bring in birds and you expect them to start struggling for water or start struggling for feed. Now, it becomes survival of the fittest. And when it gets to that point, most birds are not going to eat. Most birds are not going to drink water. And it becomes very difficult for all of them to grow evenly. So you must create enough space for them in order for them to properly get evenly distributed, and to that effect, they will eat properly and also in turn grow properly and give you the result you need. All right, so like this post, subscribe to this channel. Like I said, you get updates from day one. From day one, we give you updates on the feeding system, the medical system, the operations generally, so that even as a newbie, when you follow us, you will understand how this system works, and to that effect, you can also become a poultry farmer and grow in that space.